Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that is to talk about the emotional body and then the body-mind connection to a trauma bond. In other words, if a trauma bond is when you're in a relationship with an individual who has hurt you, who's been a bully, perhaps who's been inconsiderate, doesn't factor in your perspective, your feelings, your opinions, your truth, what you want to add to a relationship. They don't give credit where credit is due. So oftentimes people feel a loss of energy or a loss of confidence and then a lack of trust in themselves. Basically is where the erosion gets down, and then they're operating from a toxic shame or a feeling of defeat or defining themselves by fear. And then this becomes a chronic anxiety, and this can be very corrosive on the inside of someone's emotional body. So how do you sort of lighten up? How do you get from that body-mind connection to the past where you were conditioned, you were programmed, you were taught to behave a specific way? And oftentimes that behavior that you adapted and adjusted to was to offset someone who is manipulative, authoritarian, a bully, someone who was less than kind, less than considerate, someone who didn't factor your viewpoint into perspective, or really treated you negatively for no reason. Dirty looks, bad looks, trying to cause fear and causing you to shut down. I mean, this is just textbook manipulation that can weaken and disempower others. It sort of oozes from them emotionally. So how do you get stronger and really develop a new body-mind connection that's not connected to the one in the past? So if we talk about your emotional body in the past, there's a specific feeling, an energy and motion that you picked up, that you arrived at in the crosshairs of that relationship. And if you were then taught or nurtured or sort of shaped to approach life or relationships in a specific way, in other words, I must always. So it can be a very beneficial thing to look at and take a moment to evaluate how you have approached relationships. Have you thrown yourself under the bus? Have you offered to take care of others and not take care of yourself? Have you done a lot of things that have put you in a corner and then elevated others to the center stage, where you no longer feel that anything in life is about you anymore? You feel it's about everything else or everybody else, and that's really a loss of perspective, a loss of your I am, and then just sort of a resignation, a giving up to feeling disempowered. That body-mind connection was how you felt and how you described your decision-making, subconsciously and by an automatic process, that you now would be better off to get a conscious grip on, and then reevaluate how you're usually approaching things. This is also known as personal growth, spiritual growth, emotional growth, psychological growth. We need to grow in life. It's just part of feeling happy, to feeling, and of course there's all sorts of different life stages, but you need to move through these, and basically on the positive side of the challenge. We always want to keep that positive side of the challenge in our scope. And meaning, what does the real and the ideal look like, so we can begin to work towards that and have a vision that we're working towards, where there's that unanimous, okay, you're not suffering on the daily, you're not worried on the daily, you're not wondering who's going to give you a bad look, who's going to give you trouble today. This is all these sort of this then becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where if you focus on the negative too much, eventually you'll draw it to you. So you have to really understand the laws of attraction and understanding focus, and what I call, back in the day, I called it how providence worked. In other words, the force, the Star Wars, how are things working for you, or how are things working against you, and how can you better have things work for you and work towards ease rather than more difficulty. So to do that, you really have to disconnect from the body-mind connection or detach that you have towards your past. So there's usually, if there was an act or series of acts and then how you felt, and to sort of go back to those, because those are sort of in little pockets in your past where you felt, you couldn't go on that day. You couldn't go down that, on that hour. So you might have given up. You might have gone through what I call negative orderly direction, thinking, feeling, and becoming. You didn't have an advocate. You didn't have an I am. You didn't have a video. You didn't have a YouTube channel. You didn't have a podcast. You didn't have a friend. You didn't have a doctor. You didn't have a confidant. And so you just sort of, it feels like maybe a crumbling within. So we want to build that back up. But the body-mind connection to you in the present is going to be different than the body-mind connection that you have towards that memory of the past. So rather than feeling trapped, disempowered, fearful, anxious, that's your body-mind connection that was conditioned and rememorized from the past. So, and then you usually then become an active participant towards sort of nailing it in the coffin. In other words, you begin to become agreeable to the abuser. You're right, I am this, that, the other thing. You give up. People then allow themselves to be pushed around. This is very uncomfortable. People do not enjoy this feeling. They would rather be able to live in peace, harmony, with boundaries and standards, and have a certain degree of forward-looking statements and forward-looking priming of your subconscious, so you feel excited and you feel refreshed, when you wake up in the morning. This is very important, that you detach from the body-mind experience that you sort of possessed or have experienced as a negative I am, and really look at removing that, especially from a body-mind connection. So once again, I always talk about how, when people are disempowered, they might make their bodies very small. They lean over, just sort of, covering their abdomen, their shoulders round in, they're not ready. They're just sort of hunched over. They're not in the alert position. And then if you allow your body to slump, eventually your body is going to feel in a slump, because you're rehearsing and rememorizing that negative feeling. And it can be with you and sneak up when you're not really thinking about it. And you go, man, I've really been in a funk. I deserve better. So look at your posture. Look at how you're carrying yourself. And I talk about this a lot, opening up your shoulders, sitting up straight. I am. Not that you have to feel like grandiose or crazy, but healthy narcissistic, is I am. I am strong. I am loving. I am caring. I am kind. This is healthy narcissism, a healthy ego that's balanced. It's not I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread and I'm the only one who can do this. I mean, that is coming from it in a position of judgment, and that will really tear your heart up. It'll also tear your body up to be in a constant state of evaluation, analysis, and judgment. So to give yourself some relief, suspend judgment. Stop defining everything as polar opposites. This is good. This is bad. This is this. Just suspend, release judgment. These are all products of the mind. These are all produced by yourself, within, not by yourself meaning alone, but within yourself. So you literally have command, and it's to waken up to that truth and that reality, and then that you can direct it, we're going to take my I am over here, and we're going to go to the better I am, positive, orderly direction, thinking, feeling, and behaving and becoming. And that becomes like a trajectory. It becomes like a path. It becomes, it's redirected towards something positive. It's redirected towards another goal, objective that you have planted in your mind, which is different from the seed that was planted from the body-mind experience that you felt, experienced, and defined yourself by from this hurtful relationship with someone who might be malignant narcissist, psychopathic, sociopathic, what have you. It's time for you to reclaim your I am and balance it out and take action. Really embrace that and really really begin to admire inspiration for yourself. What is your own personal inspiration, that divine spark? What is it that really you go, you know what, that is cool, that is impressive, that is my I am, that I want to check out? What is that for you? It's unique for each individual, but you can better know yourself and your empowered self when you understand that and realize you might have a little bit of a calling or a little bit of a truth that is trying to get your attention that you might have forgotten about, earlier. Develop your healthy narcissism, your healthy I am. Not one that's grandiose, not one that thinks, it's all about you, but one that is really plugged in to the present, the present day, the present moment, not the one that's you that's lost in the past, forgotten, the you, the I am. And really take charge and take responsibility and the gravity and the seriousness of this. The more you get the seriousness and the liberation of this, you'll really begin to understand that you are in the driver's seat. Embrace this today, and I hope you take your day and your week to a beautiful positive where you're able to experience a stronger, better I am. Healthy I am. Have a beautiful day. It's your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. And please support each other in your journey. We all could use a positive support. Have a beautiful day.